Ever catch yourself with that nagging voice in your head, constantly jabbering on, like a never-ending stream of thoughts that never seems to stop? You might think that voice is who you really are, but what if there's something way bigger lurking behind every thought? Something that's always there but barely noticed? Most of us are so deep in this mental whirlwind, we've become so accustomed to the noise, it's like we don't even hear it anymore. But what if, just for a second, all that noise fades away? What's left when the silence creeps in? That's where the magic happens, the awakening. It's that brief moment when everything just pauses. It's like suddenly you get a glimpse through a window that's been covered up all your life. For a second, you catch a sight of something bigger, something you've always been connected to but never really saw, and that right there is the invitation of higher consciousness. It's asking you not to get lost in the maze of thoughts, but to find your way back to the present moment. True consciousness isn't something you can search for. It's already here, quietly waiting for you to notice. That moment when you realize there's a stillness beyond the thoughts, a presence that's always been within you. It's like the world suddenly makes sense. You may have even felt this already, without realizing it. You know those times when time seems to freeze, when everything fades into the background, and it's just you, fully alive, fully aware. Those moments are more common than you think, but we often brush them off. But today, you're going to feel it. You're going to experience spiritual awakening for what it really is. And more importantly, you'll start to understand why the key to this awakening is pure presence. Living in the now. In that moment, you become aware of your thoughts, but you don't have to be controlled by them anymore. As you start to observe your mind, something strange can happen. You realize that thoughts seem to just pop up, like they're running the show. This relentless, tireless voice always there, taking over your sense of reality, spinning a never-ending story about who you are, what you're doing, and how you see the world. And here's the catch. The issue isn't just that we think, it's that we start believing every single thought. Every time a thought comes through, it feels like it defines us, like we are that thought. And before you know it, you've created this false identity. You start believing it's who you really are, based on your judgments, memories, and even your hopes and fears for the future. This so-called identity is built from the constant flow of thoughts. But the question is, do you really think, or are you just being thought by your own mind? Here's where it gets deep. We think we're in control of our thoughts, but in reality, they just show up, uninvited. The mind makes stories, judges, compares, reminisces, and worries, all on its own. And we just go along for the ride, never questioning where these thoughts come from, or whether they even make sense. Living in this state, where your thoughts control you, is like living in a dream. Every thought shapes the way you see the world, and by extension, how you act. But when you're caught up in this current of thoughts, you lose touch with the present, the now. Instead, you're dragged to the past with regrets, or to the future with worries. This cycle pulls you out of the moment, and before you know it, you're stuck in a fog of mental noise, disconnected from your true self. But here's the good news. Realizing that you're caught in this constant flow of thoughts, that's the first step to waking up. It's the moment when you start to see beyond the noise, when you can begin to step out of the illusion and into the stillness. The moment you realize there's a voice in your head, something shifts. It's like the clouds parting for just a second, and you catch a glimpse of the sun. That simple act of noticing, of just observing, creates this tiny gap between you and your thoughts. You're no longer swallowed whole by them. And in that little space, something magical happens. Presence enters the picture. It's like opening a window after being trapped in a room for ages. This tiny shift in perspective is where the magic begins. the start of a journey, a transformation. When you realize your thoughts aren't you, but just little whispers from the mind, you start to break down that false identity those thoughts have been building. Over time, with a little conscious observation, you can start to see beyond the noise. The voice in your head doesn't vanish, of course. Thinking's part of being human. But now, you're no longer a puppet to it. You can sense that there's something more than just thoughts. There's a deeper awareness, a consciousness that's simply present, quietly watching, just waiting for you to notice. That's when the real awakening starts to unfold. It's like a flower blooming, opening you up to a deeper understanding of who you are. But once you start seeing your thoughts as just thoughts, a big question pops up. What's the difference between thinking and being truly conscious? We get so caught up in thinking, we often mistake it for being alive. But these two states couldn't be more different. And recognizing this difference, that's key to waking up. You see, thoughts are limited by everything that's happened to us. Our past, our conditioning, our beliefs. When we get stuck in that endless cycle of thinking, it's like being on repeat. Same old stories, same old mental reruns. Our emotions, actions, and even how we see the world get hijacked by that loop. In this state, we're prisoners of our minds, thinking we have control, when really we're trapped in this make-believe reality. But then there's higher consciousness. That's not stuck in the past or the future. It's not wrapped up in memories or what-ifs. It simply is. When we're truly aware, we're right here, right now, feeling the moment deeply. No judgments, no labels. Thoughts fall away, and in their place, a bigger, more vivid perception of life opens up. Time? It loses its grip. You're no longer bound by the ticking clock. You get to experience life as it really is. Picture this, standing in front of a breathtaking sunset. The sky's ablaze with fiery oranges and reds. If your mind's churning, you might notice the beauty, sure, but your thoughts will quickly take over. Wow, this sunset's amazing. I should come here more often. I'll have to remember to do this. And just like that, the moment's gone. Your mind's processing the beauty, labeling it, analyzing it, and before you know it, you've missed the point. The pure, direct experience of it all. Now, imagine the same sunset, but this time, no thoughts. You just are with the sunset. You don't name it. You don't judge it. You don't wish it were any different. There's nothing but presence. In that stillness, the moment expands. The feeling of being alive, of being fully aware and in sync with what's in front of you, comes alive in a whole new way. That's the true state of awareness, pure presence, a direct connection to reality without the noise of thought. And that, my friend, is higher consciousness. You ever notice how the world just clicks when you look into the eyes of a little kid? It's like you can see straight into their soul. No distractions, no clutter, just pure, unfiltered presence. It's like their gaze holds all the truth in the universe, with zero thoughts clouding it up. That's the kind of clarity that comes with higher consciousness. It's like a breath of fresh air that clears away the fog of endless thinking. We're constantly caught up in the loop of our minds. What we've done, what we're doing, what we'll do next. The ego just loves to stir the pot, feeding off those stories, making us feel separate from everything and everyone around us. But when we're truly present, that's when the magic happens. The ego starts to fade into the background. There's no need to prove anything, to control anything, or even to be anything. There's only the now, the present moment. And that, my friend, is where true freedom lives. Now here's where it gets interesting. It's all about how we observe our thoughts. Instead of getting swept away in the current of them, we take a step back and become the watcher. It's like you're standing on the shore, watching the waves of your thoughts crash. But you're not in the water. getting tossed around. You're just watching. And this shift, this little change in perspective, changes everything. The mind, oh, it still works. It'll keep doing its thing. But now, it doesn't run the show. We can actually enjoy the moment for what it is, without it being clouded by 1,000 thoughts. This shift from living in our heads to living in the present, that's the heart of spiritual awakening. It's what allows us to feel life deeply and fully, not just as a series of mental checks and boxes. And when we live like that, not only do we break free from the suffering that comes from constant overthinking, but we also become more open to what life is actually offering. We get to experience it for what it truly is, not just through the filter of our thoughts. But as we become more aware of how much our thoughts shape everything, a question naturally arises. How the heck do we break free from that cycle? The answer's simple, but most people miss it. It's inner space. You know what I mean? Inner space isn't just a fancy term. It's that quiet, open field within us that's always been there, waiting for us to find it. It's the space between one thought and the next, where true awareness lives. It's not an empty void, but a kind of peaceful presence, always ready for us to tap into. A good way to picture this is through the Zen teaching of the empty cup. The Zen master says, "You've got to empty your cup before you can be taught." Sounds simple, right? But what does that really mean? It doesn't mean clearing your mind completely, because let's be real, that's impossible. It's about creating enough space for something new to emerge. Imagine your mind is like a cup, overflowing with thoughts, worries, and judgments. When it's full to the brim, there's no room for anything else. No new insights, no fresh perspective. It's like trying to pour water into a cup that's already full. But if we let a little of that mental clutter settle, we start to create room for something else to show up. And that something else is presence. The still, silent awareness, beyond thoughts. So, how do we clear out some of that mental mess? How do we make space for the good stuff to flow in? The answer: stillness and silence. It's a practice, not a one-time fix, but it's the key to unlocking that inner space. Once we start making room, that's when we really start to awaken. Life moves fast, doesn't it? The constant buzz of daily life keeps us on our toes, running from one thing to the next. And even when we're by ourselves, the mind's still going 1,000,000 miles an hour. Thoughts pop up like unwanted guests, showing up uninvited, and they just won't leave. That's why those moments of silence, whether it's through meditation, a bit of quiet reflection, or even just taking a simple pause, are so crucial. When we finally give ourselves the chance to stop and breathe, something amazing happens. The rush of thoughts begins to slow down, like a car coming to a gentle stop after speeding down a highway. It's not that our thoughts vanish completely. They never really do, but they lose their grip. Instead of getting swept away by the current, we start to watch the thoughts drift by, like leaves floating on a river. And that's when something shifts inside. An inner space starts to open up. This space isn't empty, not like the hollow void people often think of. It's alive, filled with possibilities, ready to be filled with new energy. Here's the kicker, though. Creating this inner space doesn't need to be some grand, complex practice. It's actually pretty simple, and the simpler, the better. One of the easiest ways to start is by paying attention to your breath. It's always with you, like a faithful friend, ready to bring you back to the present. When you focus on your breath, even for just a few seconds, you can feel the pace of your thoughts slow down, and that space begins to open up. Another way to create inner space is by tuning into your senses. Next time you're walking down the street, instead of letting your mind spiral into worries about the past or future, really pay attention to what's going on around you. The sound of your footsteps tapping on the ground, the breeze gently brushing your skin, the colors of the world around you. These little acts of awareness are like little sparks that shift your focus from thought to presence, creating a pause where full awareness can bloom. The best part? These moments don't have to be long or difficult. Even a tiny break in the middle of a busy day can open up that space. The real magic happens when we make it a habit, when we keep returning to these quiet moments, day after day. Over time, that inner space starts to grow, and it becomes a natural part of your life. You'll notice that from this space, true clarity arises. Answers don't come from overthinking or trying to figure everything out. They emerge quietly, from the stillness, almost like they've always been there, just waiting for you to notice. And when you're in this space, life starts to feel different. It's like the constant noise of your thoughts isn't ruling your life anymore. Instead, a sense of peace settles in. It's a kind of tranquility that doesn't depend on what's happening around you. It's always there, available whenever you need it, deep within you. This space is where silence and awareness meet. It's the bridge that takes us from a mind that's constantly racing to a life that's grounded in presence and clarity. The mind, it's no longer the boss. It's still there, still doing its thing. But now, it's a tool, not the master. This shift, that's what spiritual awakening is really about. It's not some big, dramatic moment where everything changes overnight. No, it's more like a slow burn, a series of little flickers of clarity that come and go over time. These flashes of awareness, as small as they seem, have the power to transform how we see the world. And these moments, they can show up anytime, often when you least expect it. Maybe you're walking down a familiar street, lost in your thoughts, and then, boom, suddenly, you're there, fully present. The sound of your steps, the breeze on your face, the sunlight dancing on the leaves. For a moment, you forget about the past and future. You just are. And in that split second, a deep peace floods in, even if it's only for a few seconds. And those few seconds, they're everything. Those little moments of being really present, they pop up when you least expect them. Sometimes they're so quiet and subtle that they slip right by, like a soft breeze you barely feel. But when you do catch one, it's like a switch flips. You're standing there, maybe in front of a wide open view, a mountain range, the endless sea, or even just a quiet park. And out of nowhere, it's like everything pauses. The noise in your head goes quiet, just for a second, and you feel connected to the world around you. The waves crash, the wind rustles through the trees, or there's just the peaceful stillness of nature. In that moment, you're not just standing there. You're in it, fully present. This, my friend, is a flash of consciousness, when the mind lets go and the present rushes in. But it's not just nature where this happens. Nope. It can catch you anywhere, anytime. Maybe you're watching a little kid, full of curiosity and wonder. You look into their eyes, and in that brief moment, there's no judgment, no past, no future, just the here and now. And you connect with that innocence, that simplicity. That's another flash of consciousness, another reminder that peace can show up in the least expected ways. Here's the kicker, though. These flashes, they don't have to be labeled as spiritual to mean something. We often fall into the trap of naming every single experience, trying to fit it into neat little boxes. And in doing that, we lose the magic. We start to overthink, and then these moments become just experiences to analyze instead of pure, unfiltered awareness. The beauty of a flash of consciousness is that it doesn't need an explanation. It just happens. Like an unexpected guest who doesn't knock, but shows up with the best vibes. It's those simple moments that help us grow, even if they seem small or insignificant. Each one, though fleeting, has the potential to open the door to a deeper state of consciousness. You begin to understand that true peace isn't about fixing everything or controlling every little thing that happens around you. It's about being fully present, no matter what's going on. And with every one of these moments, no matter how tiny, a little seed of awareness is planted inside you. Over time, those little seeds start to grow, and those flashes of consciousness get more frequent. What was once a fleeting moment of peace turns into something bigger, and that sense of presence starts to feel a lot more natural. That's the thing about awakening. It's not some big, dramatic change that happens overnight. Nope, it's a series of small steps, little openings that lead to a whole new way of being. And here's the twist. You can't force these moments to happen. The more you try to seek them out, the more they seem to slip away. The secret? Just be open. Be receptive to what's happening right now, without trying to control it. When you stop fighting it and just allow yourself to be, that's when these moments show up. And in that simplicity, in that willingness to just let go, that's where the true magic of awakening happens. When you start practicing being in the moment, it changes everything. Not just how you see the world, but how you interact with it. Being present isn't just about being in the now. It's about shifting the way you handle your thoughts, your emotions, and your experiences. The big realization? Most of the problems we face, they don't come from what's really going on in the world. They come from the way we think about it. By stepping back and tuning out all the noise in our heads, we start to see things as they really are, without all those filters our minds like to put in place. And the results? Instant clarity. You start to see life in a new light, one that's been hidden behind all the mental chatter. For example, when stress comes knocking, instead of just reacting out of habit, you can actually watch yourself react. You pause. You observe. And then, here's the game changer. You can choose how to respond. Does the stress go away completely? Not necessarily. But its hold on you? It starts to loosen, just a bit. And that's huge. Awareness. It's like that breath of fresh air you didn't even know you needed. You know the one? The one that gives you space to just breathe? Suddenly you're not caught up in the whirlwind of thoughts, reactions, and all the drama your mind likes to stir up. You've been there, right? That moment when you feel like you're trapped in a mental loop, spinning over and over, making a mountain out of a molehill. Maybe you're stressing about something small, and before you know it, your brain's turned it into this massive, catastrophic event. All those what-ifs and should-haves piling on top of each other. It's like throwing gasoline on a tiny flame. But when we snap out of that, when we bring ourselves back to now, that's when the magic happens. Suddenly, the worries don't have that power anymore. It's like the mind's fuel line just got cut off, and that chaos, that noise, goes quiet. And in that silence, there's a peace, a stillness that isn't tied to anything in particular. Just being. Here, just being. And let me tell you, this peace, it's not just for you. It spreads. It's like a ripple on water, reaching out to the people around you. When you're really present, really tuned in, you show up differently. You're there, not lost in the past or running ahead to the future. And man, does that change things. Conversations, they start to flow. You're not carrying baggage from yesterday or expectations of what's coming next. Instead, it's like you're seeing each person, each moment, for what it really is, and that authenticity. People feel it. Whether they realize it or not, they can sense when someone's truly present with them, and that shifts the dynamic completely. It's like you've unlocked a new level of connection, where communication gets clearer, more honest, and more understanding. And you know what's even crazier? It's not just about how you relate to others. It changes the way you see everything. Your mindset goes from being stuck in a fixed, this is how things are box, to this flow of constant adaptation and growth. You start to see challenges for what they really are, temporary roadblocks that don't need to break you. In fact, the problems that used to feel like mountains, they start to shrink. Solutions that once seemed impossible, they pop up out of nowhere. It's like you've got this new lens on life, and you're seeing possibilities instead of obstacles. And hey, it's not just a mental shift, it's physical too. Science has already backed up the magic of mindfulness. When we practice staying present, when we quiet that mental chatter, our bodies start to thank us. Cortisol, the stress hormone, it drops. And with it, your overall sense of well-being gets a major boost. Stress doesn't have the same hold on you anymore. Things like sleep, digestion, even your immune system, they all benefit when you're in the present. It's like your body knows how to relax when your mind finally catches up with the moment. But the transformation doesn't stop there. This new way of being, it helps you break free from that tight grip of who you thought you were. That fixed identity you've been holding on to? Yeah. It starts to crumble. You start to realize you're not just a bunch of thoughts or feelings. You're the space behind them. You're the one observing them. And that realization? It's like shedding a heavy coat you didn't even know you were wearing. Life feels lighter. It doesn't mean the challenges stop. Nope, life's still got its twists and turns. But now, you've got a different way of dealing with them. You've got tools, the kind of tools that bring more intention, more clarity, and most importantly, more peace. So, as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with this. The power of awareness. It's all in its simplicity. It's something we can tap into anytime, anywhere. Every time you bring your focus back to now, even if it's just for a second, you're tapping into that power. And it's in that simple act, over and over, that you'll start to see your relationship with the world, with others, and even with yourself change deeply. If this video resonated with you, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who could use a little more presence in their life. And hey, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, your reflections, or maybe your own experiences with being present. Thanks again for being here, for taking this journey with me. Take care, and I'll see you soon.